But I think when we hear International Women's Day, we feel like, oh, it's a day for us
Let's
to go,
burn
hey,
our bras.
yeah, the women.
Okay.
Yay, the women.
Like I said earlier, honestly, doesn't resonate with me at all, really. I couldn't, if you asked me when did it start, what's the purpose behind it, I don't think I could actually tell you.
I actually agree with that. I don't know.
I didn't
probably
even
know
know
from
it was
LinkedIn.
coming up. Yeah.
No, I didn't know. I think it's one of those things that is, I don't think it should be a day. Should we just have a day for this? Is it about, I'm all for raising awareness, and if that's something that it does, then that can only be a positive.
Yeah.
But for it to be a day feels a bit shit. But I think when we hear International Women's Day, we feel like, oh, it's a day for us
Let's
to go,
burn our
hey,
bras.
yeah, the women.
Okay.
Yay, the women.
It's a bit like remembering the World War. We don't really know what it feels like, but we know it's important. Women have had harder times in past generations, and
This
we
is
are.
probably not what you wanted, was this?
No.
Means absolutely nothing.
It's exactly,
Real.
it's exactly what I want, something real. But we're now in a progressive country as a whole, and things are better now. So what's missing for women today?
That's a big question.
In the workplace, we're talking about in the workplace, aren't we? Well, I suppose one of the big areas that people would talk about is hierarchy and glass ceilings and the ability to be able to climb the career ladder. You know, as a woman, when you read all the data and you look at all the information, it is a lot harder as a woman to gain the more senior roles. I mean, 100%, my second recruitment job. So interestingly, every single recruitment role I've had, all of those businesses have been owned by men. My second recruitment role was with a fairly large business where we both worked, in fact, and that was a very male-dominated business. All of the partners that had shares in the business were male. The majority of the senior management team were male, and in fact, to the point when I joined there, I can remember one of the senior partners taking an instant dislike to me before he even knew me, and the reason apparently I found out later, once I'd curried his favour because I demonstrated that I work really hard and I can deliver revenue, he said to me the reason was he felt that I'd come into this business and wanted to work part-time hours and swan off to pick my kids up when it was time to do that, when nursery was out, and he just had taken this dislike. I think I was one of the first people to come in that hadn't been trained from the ground up, that was coming from another business, but who needed an element of flexibility.
So you almost had to prove yourself double hard, just because even that language, swanning off to pick up your kids.
Yeah, I mean,
like it's a luxury.
Yeah.
I've always worked for male-owned businesses as well. Since moving to the UK, at least, I have, and I feel like I don't think I've experienced specific struggles or challenges because being a woman, but I think having a kid was a big eye-opener for me. I think going off maternity leave and just dealing with that process was just something that I didn't know how to plan for. And I guess being from the States, as we all know, I only took 3 months off maternity leave, and for me that was a really long time. So when I was told here that I could take off up to a year, I was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna get fired? That's crazy, what is this? So I think I've almost experienced the positive side of being a female in the UK, as opposed to what friends at home who don't get any maternity rights. I have a friend who she gets 4 weeks paid and then has to take unpaid leave or holiday for the rest of her maternity. In her previous role, she had no leave at all. Similar friends who you don't have the option to take off paid time, and if you take off a certain amount of time, you don't have job security. So that's more, I guess, of a
It's a huge sacrifice then potentially for your career to make the decision to have a family.
It is.
We talk about pay gap, right?
Yeah.
Do we see pay gap in the industry we recruit for?
I think we are lucky on both sides. I think in the recruitment businesses that I've experienced working within, they have been male owned, as you said, Lara, but I've generally been a part of a leadership team, a management team that is predominantly women. So I don't feel like any opportunities have been hindered because of that, but maybe the industry that we work within. And I think certainly from a marketing creative agency point of view, there are loads of exceptional female leaders out there that are owning, heading up, MDs, CEOs, whatever, of these businesses. But I think that's indicative of the sector that perhaps we recruit for. But I feel quite privileged to work in an industry where it feels like a fairer sector. Women are given, I feel, as much opportunity as men are to develop, to progress, to lead, to become not just part of a management team or a senior leadership team, but board and beyond.
Do you think that's because we have historically worked for smaller, apart from the one that we talked about earlier, we've historically worked for small businesses? Do you think it would be the same if we'd worked for all the big national recruitment brands?
Is it harder to flush out that discriminatory behaviour in the bigger organisations?
I think
Could
it's
you
probably
hide more?
Yeah, it's probably, it comes from the leader of the business, doesn't it? That I believe comes from the top down, and perhaps we've been lucky with the businesses that we've worked for. But yeah, perhaps in those larger organisations, I don't know, if you took a snapshot of the leadership teams in those as opposed to your SME recruitment businesses, I would imagine that would differ quite significantly.
Was it senior leadership teams in our clients and in our competition that are female? But what about the ownership? Are we still equal, or are we still seeing a block on that?
I don't know if it's equal, but I think it's close. I think my markets that I look after are quite varied in terms of male and female, senior team ownership, all of that. And again, I'm very consumer focused. I do work, this is probably very generalizing, but with a lot of like fashion, cosmetics, brands that maybe would lend themselves better to a female consumer, and therefore the owner can connect better with the brand. But in my markets, I see quite a lot of female leadership.
Yeah, and I think in marketing roles as a whole, apart from maybe, and this is another big topic of conversation maybe for another day, apart from the more tech-based roles and devs, which are predominantly male, and they're calling out a lot more now for, you know, education in school and things like that to try and encourage more females into those sorts of roles. But I think actually when you think about marketing as a whole, it is probably a more female-dominated industry than a lot of others. So therefore, we probably do have more women that are at a more senior level than you get in other industry sectors, I would say.
Male client, male client, and it was a female who interviewed really, really well at first stage. And two questions I was asked is, how old is she? And is she planning on having babies? I almost wanted to laugh because I just thought, are you joking? Like, first of all, I don't know how old she is actually. I didn't ask the question, and that's what I had said to them. I just said,
because we don't have to, legally,
no,
we're not able to ask.
And why is that relevant? Like, if she's qualified and has the right background, which she does, I sent her over for a reason. And then how old she is, it shouldn't make a difference. And then the baby question, I don't know what I responded. I actually think I probably just was so caught off guard that I just...
Somebody would say that now.
I said, I don't know.